Every business has a story. Some end in success, others become lessons. This is one of those lessons. Welcome to What Happened at Work. My name is William Prescott Harrington III. For more than 40 years, I've bought, sold, and advised businesses. Today's story began with a phone call I'll never forget. It was just after 7 on a rainy Tuesday morning. The coffee on my desk was still too hot to drink when my phone rang. The caller ID read Richard Lawson. Richard owned one of the most respected construction supply companies in our region, nearly $40 million in annual revenue, 32 years in business. Richard never called before business hours. The moment I answered, I knew something was wrong. He simply said, "Bill, how soon can you get here?" I asked what happened. There was a long silence. Finally, he answered, "I think somebody's stealing from me." An hour later, I pulled into Richard's parking lot. Everything looked perfectly normal. Healthy businesses have a rhythm. This one still had it. Richard met me at the front door. He looked exhausted. There's a difference between fear and exhaustion. Fear is uncertainty. Exhaustion is knowing the truth. He led me into the executive conference room. A single manila folder sat in the middle of the table. "That's all I have," he said. Inside were 3 emails, nothing unusual at first. Then I noticed the signature at the bottom of each message. David Mason, Operations Manager. David had worked there for 6 years, former military, college educated, organized, professional. Everyone believed he was part of the future. I asked Richard for complete access. We reviewed inventory, perfect, cash reconciled, payroll matched. The numbers weren't telling the story. So I stopped looking at numbers. Instead, I asked to see David's calendar. For the next hour, we traced every executive meeting David attended. Then we walked into the conference room, a whiteboard freshly erased, but under the overhead lights, faint outlines remained, projected pricing, expansion territories. We reviewed 6 months of security recordings. Every meeting ended exactly the same way. Executives walked out, but David stayed behind. Then we found one recording that changed everything. David walked back to the whiteboard, pulled out his phone, and took 3 photographs. Richard asked, "Can we fire him for that?" I replied, "Richard, he didn't just take meeting notes. He photographed your future. Pricing, discounts, expansion plans. Separately, none of it seemed valuable. Together, it was the blueprint of the entire company." Then another pattern appeared. 12 customers had left shortly after those planning meetings. Every one of them had accepted jobs with a new competitor. Public records showed a business with no history until we found the warehouse lease. The emergency contact listed was David Mason. Richard asked quietly, "Bill, are you telling me I paid someone to build my competition?" I answered, "Your greatest asset was never inventory, it was information." The next morning, Richard asked David to meet privately. No yelling. Richard simply placed the security photographs on the table and asked, "Why?" David looked at the pictures for nearly a minute. He said, "I wasn't trying to hurt you. I just wanted to build something of my own." In his mind, he hadn't stolen. He had prepared. But he prepared by using confidential information entrusted to him by someone who believed in him. David resigned that morning. Lawyers became involved. Some customers returned. Others never did. Richard's company survived, but leadership changed. Richard told me later, "I spent years protecting my trucks and buildings. I never realized the most valuable thing walked through the door with a laptop." Before we finish, let me leave you with 5 lessons from this story. First, character eventually reveals itself. Trust is essential, but trust without accountability is risk. Third, information is one of your most valuable assets. Protect it. Fourth, pay attention to patterns. Most disasters begin quietly. Finally, leadership isn't measured on easy days. It's measured by how you respond after trust has been broken. Business is about earning trust. If today's story made you think, subscribe to What Happened at Work. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done? Until next time, watch the people, watch the numbers, and never ignore the warning signs. Remember, a company's greatest asset is the trust people place in one another.